Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. The record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
The record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orit Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record, whether you're here in the Cayman Islands or if you're listening overseas via the web. I'm your host, Orit Connor, and of course, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared specifically to keep you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. Today is May 11th, 2015, the day after Mother's Day, and I trust that all of you mothers had a wonderful Mother's Day. And even those fathers who have to do the double duty as not only father but mothers, then the same to you as well. And we know, of course, there are many mothers who also have to play the role of father as well. But I hope you had a great time. Hope you got big hugs from your children. We know those whose mothers may have passed on. Many people took the opportunity to visit the cemeteries and sit down and have a nice conversation, with your mother there as well. So I hope and trust that all mothers had a great Mother's Day. And for the rest of you, I hope you had a great weekend as well. Pretty dry, even though we had some rain during the course of the week, and you can certainly tell by the reaction of the plants and the grass outside that they certainly welcomed the rain as well. Some traffic issues last week, work being done, and there are times when we really have to suffer that inconvenience if we want to see improvements. And the huge improvement that is taking place on Godfrey Nixon Way has inconvenienced some drivers, but that's the price sometimes that we pay for improvements. And we all have to grin and bear it, because at the end of the day, for the traveling public, life will certainly be much easier as well. So, reminding you that For the Record, a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, your radio station, we always invite you to participate in the discussions on For the Record. And for some of you, I don't have to remind you of the numbers, but for those of you who have short memories, we will tell you that we have a toll-free number courtesy of Lime, and that toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also reach us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. And of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, then you can email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. And for those of you who aren't early birds, just want to remind you that Miss Susan is back with us after a little hiatus there. She is back with us. That big smile, that beautiful voice. She's right there. So she will be on the other end of the telephone as well when you call in this morning. And we know that you will be calling in, because we're going to have a very, very important topic that we will be discussing this morning. So I won't keep you in suspense any longer. Today we have with us Minister Wayne Panton. No, I'm shifting around. We're going with the ladies first. We have with us Minister, the Honorable Tara Rivers, who has responsibility for education, employment, and gender affairs. We also have with us Minister Honorable Wayne Panton, who has responsibility for financial services, commerce, and the environment. And we have a politician with us who is not a minister, but certainly has the capabilities and the qualities to be a minister. We have the CEO of Cayman Finance, Mr. Jude Scott. Folks, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, and good morning to the listening and viewing public.
Good morning.
Let me add that my good morning to that as well, O.C. Pleasure to be here with you.
Okay, and what we will be talking about this morning, we will be talking about a program that has been designed to steer students towards financial services. Of course, you know, we have this old adage in Cayman, not everybody can go and work in a bank. And then, of course, there's this, what they attach to some Caymanians, that everybody wants to work in a bank. Nobody wants to get their hands dirty, which of course, you know, is a false impression and a false statement that is given. But certainly we know that working in financial services can be quite lucrative, you know, and all facets of employment are rewarding one way or the other as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to have Minister Rivers introduce the whole program and tell us what it is all about. For those of you who didn't read the newspapers and who missed the press conference as well when it was announced, but certainly very exciting news.
It is, O.C., and thank you very much again for giving us the opportunity to really expand upon what the program is aimed at doing. And really, it is a program that we have been developing or have developed now in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Financial Services, and of course Cayman Finance, who represents financial industry players. And it is targeting year 12 students who are in the government system doing what's known as the dual enrollment program. And that really is students who are either doing their first year of UCCI or their first year of A-levels as a part of the compulsory year 12 program prior to graduation. And so it really gives them an opportunity to learn more about financial services as a potential career pathway, and also giving them the opportunity to gain real life practical work experience at the end. In the summer, it culminates with a 1 month paid internship, which, you know, I think is very exciting on a number of fronts, because obviously from both education and employment perspective, this is really a pathway which, you know, the country has been calling for, and we have really responded. And it's something that, you know, this government is very committed to in terms of building those partnerships and building those networks and building the relationships with the private sector, and in this particular instance, financial services, to create that level of awareness, to create that exposure and better understanding. I mean, when people think of financial services, of course, as you say, the adage is not everybody can work in a bank. But the fact is, there's so many opportunities that in addition to working for a bank, there are other opportunities within financial services that people may not even be aware of. So it's not just the things that you think of off the bat, being an attorney, being an accountant. There's so many other opportunities. And so the purpose of this is to really get our students to have a better understanding of that. And, you know, we can obviously talk a bit more about that as the morning goes along.
Certainly. Minister Pannon, you want to add anything to what Minister Rivers has said?
Yeah, thank you, O.C. Certainly, I endorse everything Minister Rivers has said in terms of the rationale behind this and the opportunity it represents for our students. You know, for us in the Financial Services Ministry, one of the things is trying to make sure that we raise a level of awareness, raise the profile of financial services itself, but also to recognize and help to get exposure to the different opportunities that exist within financial services. You know, I think I've spoken quite a bit over the last 2 years about our desire to try to make sure that there is recognition that financial services is still the significant leg of the economy, and certainly that we want to make sure that a lot of the opportunities that exist within financial services have become widely known and become more available to young Caymanians. So this is something that we're happy to be involved with, and we've been obviously been putting a lot of time and energy into promoting, because we think it's a very worthwhile thing. We think the opportunity represents a priceless opportunity for our young Caymanian students. And I think it allows certainly the companies that will be involved to reflect their corporate social responsibility, but also it's about making sure that they know who's available, they know which students may be interested, and they may get involved themselves in helping to groom them into various careers. Many of us were sort of, I started in financial services when I was 18. That was when I started my training here as a lawyer. I was articled to a law firm. Back then the law school had a 5-year program, and you worked half the time in articles and you went to school half the time. So I had the benefit of that, and I think certainly it helped me getting the exposure to sort of senior players in the industry at an early age. Gives you a level of understanding and a level of confidence that really is priceless. And certainly I think Mr. Scott will talk about those who will be involved and who we hope to have involved. But I think for us, particularly with senior Caymanians that are involved in the industry, this represents an opportunity for interaction, for our students to learn, understand what the industry is about, and get the opportunity to perhaps be interested and progress in those areas. So I think it's a wonderful thing, and I certainly thank Cayman Finance and the membership of Cayman Finance and the wider membership of financial services in Cayman for agreeing to do this and to collaborate on it.
Certainly. Mr. Scott, before you give us Cayman Finance's viewpoint and side of the story, for a listening audience, for those who have heard of Cayman Finance but do not know what Cayman Finance is all about, can you just give them a snapshot of the profile of Cayman Finance?
Absolutely, happy to, OC. It's certainly my privilege to be the CEO of Cayman Finance. So Cayman Finance is a private sector, not-for-profit organization that partners with government, and our primary goals are really to promote and develop and grow the financial services industry in the Cayman Islands. It's been a very successful partnership. We're very focused on not only sustaining our position as a leading international financial center, but continuing to grow on that. And when we look at a program like this, we recognize that a part of our growth is what we're able to do with the organizations, with growing our client base, but also ensuring that we have access to the industry, to our young, talented Caymanians. Because to grow the industry in a sustainable way in the future, we also need to ensure that we have talented Caymanians who have access to reach the top of the industry and help us continue to grow and sustain it into the future.
Okay. Now, we see that there's a significant of financial resources that are being supporting this program, as well. We see, 30,000 from government, 40,000 from financial services, and then an additional 300,000 in terms of the when you put the value on the time that people are going to donate in terms of mentoring students as well.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic program. We're so very excited about it. Our Cayman Finance members have really stepped up in conjunction with the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Financial Services. We very much appreciate just the efforts that both ministries have been putting in their teams. Also the willingness of government to partner, financially support it. From the Cayman Finance perspective, we recognize that although there have been many, many programs that our individual organizations continue to participate in, whether it be scholarship programs, training programs, or otherwise, this was a very unique program which is targeted at the dual enrollment students in the government system, where as we sat and we talked about it, we recognized there was a real gap in providing access to those students to ensure they had the opportunity to properly consider careers in the financial services industry. And as we reached out, we determined that we wanted to start with a pilot program, and we were very graciously working with the Ministry of Education as well as Ministry of Financial Services to look at the best way to do this. We determined that although the financial services industry makes up more than 50% of the economy, from a workforce perspective, we probably make up about 10 to 15% of the workforce. So it's a tremendous amount of leverage. But we felt it was very important when we looked at the 350 students or thereabout that are going to be graduating from the government high school this year. We felt that it was our responsibility as a financial services industry to look at our percentage of the workforce, roughly 10 to 15%, and to take responsibility of 10 to 15% of those 350 students. So we rounded it to 50 to say we're willing to partner with government to find a way to give better access and introduction into the financial services industry. And we're also able then to work with our membership where we have 50 high-level executives within the industry being willing to be mentors to these young people as they are looking to decide their future and decide possible careers.
Folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I'm your host, Orit Connor. My guest in the studio with me this morning, we have the Honorable Tara Rivers, Minister responsible for Education, Employment and Gender Affairs. We also have Honorable Wayne Panton, Minister with responsibility for Financial Services, Commerce and Environment. And we also have with us the CEO of Cayman Finance, Mr. Jude Scott. We're discussing a program that is geared towards steering students into the financial services industry. So please stay tuned. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we will return, we will continue the conversation. So please stay tuned. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, where I'm your host, Orit Connor, and my guests in studio with me this morning. We have Minister Wayne Panton, we have Minister Tara Rivers, and we have the CEO of Cayman Finance. We're discussing a program that is designed to steer students towards finance. Of course, if you attend schools, prestigious schools like MIT, Harvard, you have there's a business school in Chicago. You know, all of the major universities in the U.S., this is usually the time of the year when recruiters are going around looking for college students. We may not necessarily have that here in the Cayman Islands with UCCI or ICCI, but the Cayman Islands government, along with Cayman Finance, has designed a program that is not necessarily only going at college students, but going at year 11 students, year 12 students as well. So we're getting them early, so probably even better than some of the programs that they have in the U.S. Minister Rivers.
Yes, absolutely. I think, the importance of getting to students before they leave the compulsory education was an important aspect of this particular program, in that, again, we want to be able to help students transition from being a student to the world of work. So it's about trying to create an opportunity for them to become job ready. Because, a lot of the criticisms that we've heard from the industry and from, the companies are that, well, students don't know what to expect when they come for a job interview, when they come for a job, etc. So a part of this program, there's 3 components really, and they include having workshops, so group workshops that are being facilitated by members in the financial services industry, as Mr. Scott said, talking about different opportunities, what it means to be in the financial services industry, giving a better understanding about the industry as a whole. Then the students will be paired with individual coaches or mentors, and the coaches themselves are going to be trained through utilizing Big Brothers Big Sisters training platform for mentorship. And we know Big Brothers Big Sisters have been around for many years and have a very robust training program when it comes to helping adults learn to interact with children and our students and otherwise. And of course, the third component being the work experience aspect, so they can actually take what they've learned in theory. The coaches will help them develop their CVs and help them to develop their interview skills and all of these kind of practical soft skills that aren't necessarily being delivered to the extent that they could be or should be in public education with respect to your actual curriculum. So this was a program that really identified a gap on a number of levels, but it also targeted the student population that currently doesn't have an opportunity to experience work experience type programs as a part of their curriculum. We have students who are in year 12 that go on to Cayman Islands Further Education Center, or otherwise known as CIFEC. There's a very robust internship or work experience program that is actually a part of their curriculum. So this was the student population at year 12 that didn't have such an opportunity up until now. And so it really does fill that void as well. And so I think at this point, it's probably very important to let people know how to get involved.
Yes.
If you are a year 12 student that are either in dual enrollment program currently, we encourage you to go on to the Cayman Finances website, which is www.caymanfinances.com/education, and sign up directly through there. I know the website made reference to the 8th of May, but I believe there has been a bit of an extension in terms of people signing up.
That's correct. That's correct. It's filling up quickly. So we just want to encourage all the young people who would like to have the opportunity in the dual enrollment program to please sign up as quickly as possible, because we're just taking the first 50.
Oh, I was going to ask you what the number was in terms of yes.
Because it is a pilot, we want to make sure obviously the numbers are manageable, and that we can look to hopefully expand and develop in the next year. We do recognize that the program itself came together very, very quickly once we kind of got the ball rolling. We do know that we're coming to the end of this particular year 12's graduation coming up in June, so we know that the timing is, for some students, maybe a bit tight. For the UCCI students, actually it's a good timing, because they have finished their exams and they have a bit of a hiatus before graduation happens at the end of June. For our A-level students, some of them are maybe still either about to sit exams or going into exam period, so we know that it might be a bit tight for some of the students, but we didn't want to miss the opportunity, of course, by introducing them to the material, by making those networks and those relationships, which in many instances a lot of our students aren't or wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to do, because a lot of our students are coming from backgrounds, from familial connections where they don't necessarily have the kind of networking, the informal networking, going to the cocktail parties, going to socializing with people in the industry. So what it does is it gives them an exposure. It gives them the ability to create those relationships, because we know business is so much about relationships. Getting a job, keeping a job, moving up within your
certainly is, yes.
profession and career. It's about making those connections, making those relationships, and we really wanted to give our students an opportunity to do that in a way that has really never been available before in such a concerted effort by the industry in this regard.
Now, Mr. Scott, we know that there are certain obligations under the immigration law for companies to provide scholarships, to provide training, usually training for their employees, but we have tried to appeal to their social conscience as well to do certain things. But again, for the benefit of our listening audience, this program is separate and apart from any other obligation that any company may have under the immigration law.
That's certainly correct. This is very much a program that our Cayman Finance members have really volunteered to be part of. And when I look at sort of social responsibilities, I guess in my mind they fall into three categories. One, as you mentioned, the responsibilities that fall under our laws. And very pleased to say that over the years, many of our organizations within the financial services industry have absolutely upheld those. In addition to that, what we've also seen in the financial services industry is many organizations have consistently gone above and beyond that as well. With the programs that they've developed, they're really focused on recognizing the importance of giving access to young talented Caymanians, as you mentioned, training and developing them and giving them opportunities to rise through the ranks in the organizations. So this program here really is what I'd call the third level, which is really very synergistic for the existing programs that organizations have to put together a singular collaborative effort across the Cayman Finance members to enable us to deliver this program in a very short period of time to a pilot group of young talented Caymanians that we hope to create a pathway into the industry to give them access. So very excited about it, and certainly very appreciative for the Cayman Finance member organizations for their willingness to again step up and do a further level of involvement and support.
Now, Mr. Panton, the government does have certain departments and portfolios that are geared towards finance as well. We have the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, we have the Stock Exchange, and of course, financial services is your responsibility, your portfolio as well. Do you see, well, we know that sometimes government does have this summer program. And I'm not sure whether or not that's going to be in place this year again, whether or not there are budgetary provisions for that. So students will get an opportunity to work within government as well. But do you envisage some government departments maybe partnering with Cayman Finance to, again, provide an additional resource for students?
Yeah, certainly, OC. I think what we would envisage with this program is that there has to be a recognition of the key elements of the industry. And clearly, one of the key elements is the regulatory element. So there are some aspects of the industry that are less regulated. There are some aspects that are more regulated. And there are specific areas of regulation that perhaps are slightly different to other areas. So it will be important as a part of the learning process, as a part of the familiarization process for the students involved in this program to have a broad understanding of that. And I think what I would envisage is opportunities for example, just introductory meetings and sort of descriptions and explanations of how the regulator is involved and what the regulator does in relation to various areas. I think the reality is we probably have a lot of areas, a lot of government departments and statutory authorities like the Monetary Authority, who do have sort of limited resources. So I wouldn't want to sort of commit them to being involved in a long-term process, but really having the introduction, having the opportunities to interact and just describe what it is that they do, that will be a very significant, valuable part of this process, and a necessary part of the process. So I would envisage that as a part of this, we can arrange various government departments and statutory authorities to be involved, as well as the ministry. Certainly, if anyone ever has any questions about any part of any aspect of the industry, whether it's someone who's just interested in setting up business here, down to any individual or any parent in Cayman, feel free to contact the ministry to get information.
Folks, you're listening to For the Record, where I'm discussing a program that is designed to steer students towards the financial services industry. We're discussing that with Minister Tara Rivers, Minister Wayne Panton, and the CEO of Cayman Finance, Mr. Jude Scott. If you have any questions, or you may have a child who you may want to to introduce to this program, they may not have heard about it. You're hearing it here on For the Record. So if you have any questions, please give us a call. We're going to go to the headline, a time check, and then the news. And after that, we'll be back shortly. So please stay tuned. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, where I'm your host, Art Connor, and my guest in the studio with me this morning, we have the Honorable Tara Rivers, who's responsible for Education, Employment, and Gender Affairs. We have Honorable Minister Wayne Panton, who has a responsibility for Financial Services, Commerce, and Environment. And we have Mr. Jude Scott, who is the CEO of Cayman Finance. I want to remind you that our phone lines are open in the event that you want to call in and have some input, have any questions in relation to the topic that we're talking about, which is a program that is geared towards steering students to the financial services sector. Our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. And our email address is, for the record, one word, that is for the record at candw.ky. For all of those pundits, out there who complain that not enough is being done to prepare our students, our young students, towards the workforce. This is a program that has been introduced specifically for that purpose. I'm going to ask the CEO of Cayman Finance, Mr. Jude Scott, to first explain to us the driving force behind this whole program. He may have touched on it earlier. And also, we want to talk about the sustainability of the program, because it doesn't just end, when those 50 cohorts are finished. It's designed to be an ongoing process, is it, Mr. Scott?
Absolutely. Thank you, OC. It is, it's a tremendous program. It's when we look at high level, what it's focused on doing is it's really focused on giving our high performing young people access to the financial services industry. And we want to ensure that our young people are job ready and also can develop into just tremendously successful and engaged young professionals. So as we looked at it, we realized the financial services industry has really over the years just done tremendous projects individually by organizations, helping to provide that support and access and scholarships. This particular program, we took a step back and we looked at where we thought as a country and as an economy we needed to maybe step up even more than we have in the past and do a program that's supplemental to all the other existing programs that we do. And when we look as a country, we have approximately, I believe, about 350 students that are going to be graduating from the government education system this year. And as an economy, we need to recognize that those students need access to jobs. And so as we looked at it, we thought, well, there's really four simple options. Two that are absolutely preferred, and two we hope never occur. One option is for those students to have access to jobs straight away out of high school. A second option is for those students to go on to tertiary education, and then we need to make sure they have access to jobs in our economy. Those are the two preferred routes. The two routes which create real problems for our economy is if we do not have jobs that those young people can access and are job ready for, then quite often they fall upon government social services to support them, or even worse, that they find they have to resort to crime to support themselves. So as being such an important part of the economy, we recognize that we want to do everything we can to rule out those last two options. We don't want our kids to feel like they have to resort to crime. We don't want them to feel like they have to forego their pride and feel like there's no option but to rely on government to support them. So we wanted to make sure that when we looked at our 10 to 15% of the workforce that we represent, even though we generate over 50% of the economy, that we were stepping up to the plate and taking responsibility for giving pathways to at least 15% of those 350 kids. So that's where the number 50 came from. What we also recognized was we needed to develop a program that was very simple and implementable. Now obviously, there's a lot of work to developing such a program and also implementing it. But that's where the three aspects came from. So one aspect of it is to provide the in-classroom workshops. So these young people in a very short period of time get a full understanding of what the financial services industry is all about, as well as what are the career opportunities. And we also then tackle some of the soft skills that we believe need to be enhanced for them to be successful in the workplace environment. So that'll take place over the next few weeks as they're getting ready to graduate, and that'll be in classroom. In addition to that, then we felt that the mentoring and coaching aspect of it would again take it to the next level. Is we have 50 mentors / coaches that have signed up. So these are managerial and above persons within our financial services industry, very successful people who have volunteered to meet one-on-one once a week with each of these students. So they'll actually have a one-on-one relationship with a mentor to be able to ask those questions about what is it really like working in the industry? What does it feel like to have a career? Do you get to travel? What are the responsibilities? So that it provides a sense of vision and a sense of understanding from a real live person in the industry who's been successful in their careers. And then the third element was in recognition of there not being a formal structured work experience program for the dual enrollment students currently, was stepping up and having our Cayman Finance members being willing to offer a 1 month paid work experience program in the summer. And so we thought that was very exciting. Quite often work experience programs are unpaid.
Right.
We felt for this particular pilot program, we wanted to make sure that our kids recognized, and I shouldn't call them kids actually, they're very talented young people, recognize that we want to value them as our future professionals in the industry, and we wanted to give them a stipend. So we've targeted it at US $1,000 for the month, which we think makes it attractive, but also makes them recognize that we believe they're worth it, and we want them to be engaged, focused, and take advantage of this great opportunity.
Okay, Minister Rivers, you want to add to that?
Yeah.
And again, what do you say to our listening audience out there in terms of highlighting this, getting, making them aware of it, making their children aware of it, so that they can at least register? Hopefully, they'll be amongst those 50, and if they're not, then there may be another time around for them to
Yeah, I mean, again, this. I think that the excitement about this program is that it ticks so many boxes, so to speak, if you want to put it in those words. It deals with ensuring that the education of our young people is enhanced to the degree that isn't currently available with respect to having real, live industry players, professionals who are able to tell not just the theoretical, from a theoretical perspective, but the practical implications of what it means to actually work in the industry. What are some of the career pathways? What are some of the courses you want to consider when going on to do tertiary or further education? What are some of the expectations? Also, it does create those networks, it creates those relationships, and as I said, that face-to-face is invaluable when it comes to actually applying for jobs. So having a reference that actually has had time to spend with you, to develop a relationship, and that can speak to your qualities. Oftentimes, young people in particular who are still in school don't have that opportunity as other working professionals may have because of their experience, having transitioned already from school to the world of work. We know the statistics will show that the one of the groups of people in the country where the issue of unemployment seems to be most critical is for young people, students leaving high school, college, even and a more worrisome number obviously is the number of persons who are coming back with degrees. And so what we're trying to do is to be proactive in addressing that right off the bat. So we've looked at the situation. We've looked at the concerns that the country is having, and we're trying to arrest those concerns. We're trying to address those concerns by putting in place programs such as this. Now, this is one program, and I don't want to let the cat out the bag about other things, but hopefully you'll be seeing more of me.
If you do, it will be on the record.
Well, we're looking at doing, we're working with a number of other industries as well from the Ministry of Education, Employment, Gender Affairs perspective. I mean, this was something that we were so excited to work with Cayman Finance and to get off the ground, as I said, very, very short order. It started with a conversation, and now we are where we are, and that sense of urgency is something that from myself straight on down through the ministry, I'm trying to push to say, look, we know we have a better understanding of what the situation is now. Let's put some things in place to get it done. And so I have been reaching out to industries have been reaching out to me, and we have been starting to get this ball rolling. So we're looking at, we're talking to a number of other industries as well. So watch this space. We will hopefully be back with some more exciting programs. But today it's about this particular program dealing with financial services industry. It's very exciting. It's students should not see this as just something else that they need to do to graduate, because it's not a requirement at this stage per se, but it's a real opportunity. It's a real opportunity to get your foot in the door, getting a paid internship at the end, so you can actually have something on your resume to say, I've actually worked for the summer. And for some of our students, this may be the first time that they've had an opportunity to have a summer job, because it's not like how when we were growing up. I mean, I was working from the time I was 12 years old, and that was just the way it was.
I look forward to getting a little job out on the dock there,
Yeah,
rolling
well,
those,
this is it,
hand carts,
but it certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't in working one-on-one with a senior member of the financial services industry.
It certainly wasn't.
And so this from that perspective, it's a great opportunity. So if you know of anybody who could take advantage of that this year during the pilot program phase, I would say definitely get onto them. Tell them to get onto the website www.caymanfinances.com/education. Sign up, because we're ready to roll. And
folks,
so
you heard that? You were the ones out there calling in and saying there are no opportunities for our kids. Here is an opportunity. If you know someone out there, it may not be your child, you may not have a child, but if you know someone, please make them aware of this program. Mr. Scott, we talk about 50, a number of 50. What happens if you get more than 50? Is it going to be first come, first serve? Are you going to be looking for the creme de la creme of the crop, or are you going to be taking people for, at all levels and skills, in terms of not because they're just, doing their A levels, or because they're doing maths or sciences? How is it going to work?
Great question. So this program it's a pilot program, so we've necessarily had to keep it a little narrow. It is focused on the students who are in the dual enrollment program in the government education system in year 12. And the approach that we've chosen to take is there's approximately 100 students who are in that program. The approach that we've had to take on this is we'll take the first 50 students who sign up. Mm-hmm. So part of it is we also want a sense of the young people who are enthusiastic and excited about it to come on board. And as long as they're in the government dual enrollment program in year 12, mm-hmm. and they're one of the first 50, we're happy to have them on board. And it is a pilot this year. In future years, we're hoping that this is a success, and we'll continue the partnership going forward. In future years, there's two aspects of it that we're hoping will develop. One is that while this is focused on year 12, in future years, I'd love to be able to have not only a year 12 program, but also have the information being provided in sort of year 11, year 10, and then in future years actually have it drill all the way down through the curriculum. So the goal is that when we reflect on this many years from now, we'll actually have been able to work with the Ministry of Education to develop an integrated curriculum in years to come, where a student, when they're studying, for example, accounting, they're not only doing accounting for Canadian Forestry Company, they're also doing accounting for a hedge fund, a bank, an insurance company, and similar in law. So that our students, when they graduate from high school in years to come, have a very strong understanding of our financial services industry. And then the other aspect is we've intentionally developed this program so it's scalable. So if other industries wish to use a similar program, it's easily translated into other industries as well.
Folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I'm your host, Stuart Connor. My guest in the studio with me this morning, we have the Honorable Tara Rivers, Minister responsible for Education, Employment and Gender Affairs. We also have the Honorable Wayne Panton, who's the Minister responsible for Financial Services, Commerce and the Environment. And we also have the CEO of Cayman Finance, Mr. Jude Scott, who I will take the liberty and say is the architect of this new program, which is geared towards steering students towards financial services industry. Please stay tuned. We will be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, which is brought to you by LED Lighting, Engineering and Design, located on Dorset Drive in Industrial Park, where they have many energy-saving items there, products there at LED. And I always say, if you want your light bill to be as low as Miss Georgette's, then check LED out, because they can certainly help you to get your light bills down. But this morning, we're here talking with the Honorable Tara Rivers, Minister responsible for Education, Employment and Gender Affairs, as well as the Honorable Mr. Wayne Panton, who has responsibility for Financial Services, Commerce and the Environment. And we also have with us Mr. Jude Scott, who's the CEO of Cayman Finance. And what are we talking about? We're talking about a new program that is geared towards steering young Caymanian students towards the financial services industry. This is a situation where the players in the financial services industry have decided to put their money where their mouth is. And that money that they're putting towards that is somewhere in the range of 340,000 Cayman Islands dollars. $40,000 in terms of cash, $300,000 in terms of kind, in terms of the period of time, the amount of time that their members will spend in terms of tutoring, mentoring, lecturing these young students towards the financial services industry. If you're interested, we want to hear from you. If you have any comments in relation to this program, we want to hear from you. If you have any suggestions in relation to it, we want to hear from you. And if you know any student who may be interested, maybe your child or someone else, we don't want to hear from you. We want them to hear from you. Tell them about this program, because there are 50 spaces that are available. First come, first serve basis. And you know how we are in the Cayman Islands. You know, once it closes, you're going to hear, oh, I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it. Can I get in now? No, there's going to be a time frame, and Mr. Jude Scott will explain that, you know, as well to you. Minister Pannon, anything you want to add before we go back to Mr. Scott or Minister Rivers?
Obviously, just to say that, you know, I encourage everyone out there who is listening to, if you know of anyone, if you have people in your family, if you have children that may be interested in this, that this may apply to, please follow up. Make the inquiries, contact Cayman Finance, or contact either one of us ministers. You know, we'll be able to engage with you and direct you in the right direction. This is a really, really important program. Yes. It's something that you know, from the ministry side, we're certainly committed to. We recognize the value of it. We think the interaction with industry and the time that they're going to commit to this is invaluable. I am personally going to volunteer. I have volunteered as a mentor for the program, and I will say this: that I am committed enough to this that if we have 51, if the program is fully subscribed with the 50, I will personally underwrite the cost of at least one additional space.
Excellent, excellent.
So that you know, we don't have to deny someone who may be interested in it, because I think it's really, really important. One of the distinguishing factors of our industry here, compared to our competitors around the world, is that our financial services industry here and the professionalism and the quality and the depth of professionals and those that are involved in the industry is so great, so good, that it really distinguishes us against our competitors. It's one of the selling factors. And to have our students have the ability to participate at a high level in understanding what the significance of the industry is, and have access to those really high level people that are involved in the industry is invaluable. So you know, this is one of the reasons why I'm really committed to it. I mean, as I said earlier, I benefited from having a program where you were in school part of the time and in the work environment part of the time. And you know, I started that when I was 18, so it actually gave me a significant head start in terms of understanding what the industry was about and who was involved in the different facets of it, and being able to interact with them. I wasn't ever somebody who liked the cocktail circuit and all that kind of stuff, but this is something that allows you to not have to worry about that sort of thing, as Minister said. You know, you can get the high level contacts and you can understand things at a high level without having to engage in that. And this provides an opportunity to build on an interest, perhaps, and it may even establish an interest that you weren't really aware of before. Certainly, that was the case with me. I hadn't planned to be a lawyer, but this is, you know, one of the twists that life has, and I ended up being contacted. My parents met with Bill Walker quite by accident, who was a former partner of the founder of Walkers, ran into him in the airport in Miami, and he just happened to say, "What's Wayne doing? Would he be interested in being a lawyer?" And they mentioned it to me. I was in the process of planning to go to university to do something science related, completely unrelated to law, but I ended up changing course. So this is the sort of thing that it can happen. It's the sort of opportunity that we want to present to our people.
And Minister, other than I know we had I think it's Wayne Jackson on, and we had Minister for Tourism on. There's a similar program. Well, I shouldn't say similar. There's a program that is in the tourism sector, and I think the Ritz is, one of the leaders, in that program as well, which is geared towards the tourism sector. But this program has its unique qualities about it. That sets it apart from the others.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the Ministry of Education is also integrally involved in the tourism, the hospitality, School of Hospitality Studies as well. I mean, they were on the steering committee to set up the school, and they still, the ministry is still involved in terms of the curriculum aspect. But I think what this is another way to expand the options for our students. It's important that we develop similar types of programs. Now, it'll be the nuances of what the program will be, how the program will be structured, how it will be developed, how it will be delivered, will by and large be very much the determination will be made based on the industry itself and what the needs of the industry is. And so there isn't a cookie cutter approach that you can take to replicating it across all industries. But what we're trying to do as a government, and obviously as the Ministry of Education and Employment and Gender Affairs, is to look at creating those various pathworks in the various industries. So we have the School of Hospitality Studies, which is doing that type of practical experience coupled with theoretical training and knowledge from the tourism aspect. We now have this very exciting program for the financial services industry, looking at developing the better understanding from a theoretical, from an academic perspective, but also the practical experience with the work experience aspect to give our students a better understanding and a foot in the door to, once they go off to tertiary studies or otherwise, they will have had those relationships. And hopefully the intention is that, by the companies investing their time, investing their efforts, they will develop a relationship with that student or students and look to track and hopefully then absorb them into the marketplace once they've completed whatever they need to complete from an academics perspective for that role, whatever that role is, once they've determined that in conjunction with their mentor or coach for that particular company. But we are, as I said, from looking at it across all industries, we're also in conversation with members in the construction industry to develop a similar type of program for the constructions or the trades. Also, another industry which is we're currently in discussion with is the kind of the technical trades, the electrical, the mechanical, the kind of building maintenance type industry as well. And so what we're doing and what the ministry has realized that it's important for us as a country to have our finger on the pulse, to know what's happening as a whole. We're looking to put together a national training council, which really brings together all of the industries. So at any given point in time, there is that information sharing. As Mr. Scott said, this program that has been developed with Cayman Finance is simple enough and it's scalable that if we look at the basic elements of the program, it's something that we think we can easily do, again, to be tweaked depending on the needs of that particular industry, how it would be delivered. But it's something that we can do across multiple industries that we don't have anything in place currently. And so the benefit of having this training council is for the different industries to be able to information share as well, but also for myself as minister and for the government to know, okay, what are the opportunities out there? What are the training and development opportunities? What are the apprenticeship opportunities and the internship opportunities? You would have heard me speak very passionately about getting a national apprenticeship program off the ground, and this is definitely one way in order to do that, because as I said, we know we have discrete industries, discrete companies that are doing these type of training programs. But as a country, we need to be able to say, okay, if you're a student or if you're a young person or you're a professional looking to change careers and you have an interest in X, well, here is who you need to get in touch with. Here is who you need to go to. Here are the opportunities for you to be able to make that transition into that particular industry. So there is a lot going on right now with respect to pulling that framework all together. But that's happening at the same time as we are actually developing individual programs and launching them as well.
Mr. Scott, now I know the $1,000 is going to be certainly appealing to many young students. That $1,000 is not going to be performance-based, but I'm certain there will be certain standards that you will have set, for them. It won't just simply won't be handed to them on a silver platter.
That's correct. The focus on it is we want to make sure that we have, young people who have the right attitude, aptitude, and also are focused on developing the right skills to be successful. So these will be students who have successfully gone through the program, the in-classroom, have worked with the mentors, and then have successfully gone through 1 month work experience. So we also wanted the program to start giving them the sense of what it's like to be in the industry. So one of the aspects that we're going to look at is when they're getting ready to actually see which work experience placements that they'll have, is actually do it as an interview process. So they will probably select maybe up to 3 possible opportunities and apply for them and interview for them, to then be determined and selected for the work experience. So it is something that we want to make sure is also challenging, which makes it very exciting for our young people, but also gives them feedback on it. We want to give them the best opportunity to be successful, but give them feedback. As Minister Panton shared, it's all about making sure that while we're developing a very successful financial services industry that'll be successful well into the future, that we're developing our young people to be world-class and competitive at that level. And I just want to also say just thank you, Minister Panton, because not only have yourself and Minister Rivers really just shown your great support for the program, but I also appreciate how very busy you are, and also that you've stepped up to also be a mentor on this. And I just want to say thank you. I mean, these are the caliber of people who are willing to offer their time and volunteer their time for it. And it's a very, very exciting time for us.
Yep, and we'd better take advantage of it. We're going to go to a commercial break now. Folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I'm your host, Stuart Connor. My guest in the studio with me this morning, we have Minister Tara Rivers, Minister Wayne Panton, and the CEO of Cayman Finance, Mr. Jude Scott. And we're discussing a program that is designed to steer students towards financial services. Please stay tuned. We will be back shortly. For the Record, I'm your host, Stuart Connor. We're discussing a pilot program designed by Cayman Finance in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Financial Services to steer students towards the financial services industry. I want to remind you, we have our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. You can also email us at fortherecord, one word, that is fortherecord at candw.ky. I also want to remind you that For the Record is brought to you by LED Lighting Engineering and Design, located on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Mr. Scott, you were, I'm not sure if we interrupted you, in the middle of what you were saying there before we went to a commercial break.
Not at all. Certainly, one other thing that I think would be helpful for me to share about the program is when we take a step back and we look at the financial services industry, I think it's incredible just the varying types of opportunities and career paths that are available. So we typically see, as you mentioned earlier, there is kind of the general thought of a banking career, perhaps a legal career, a public accounting career. We also have many other careers. For example, we have top technology professionals in the field. And in many cases, we have individuals working here in Cayman that are helping design global architecture for our firms that have footprints around the world. They're focused on things like helping prevent cybersecurity attacks, and they're networked in with top professionals around the world. We see a similar thing in marketing, where we have our top professionals who are designing marketing strategies and go-to-market opportunities that are competing with top professionals elsewhere around the world. Our HR professionals are focused on recruiting, training, and developing top professionals in our jurisdiction to ensure it continues to be top in class. We have folks who are responsible for event planning. We have teams that are responsible for facilities management. So it's really a wide gamut of jobs and opportunities and careers available in the financial services industry. So we want to make sure that our talented people who are focused, who want to have opportunities, have access to these, but also recognize the breadth of opportunities available within the industry. I've just shared a few, and there are many more variations of that in the industry.
And certainly, Minister Patton, we know, for instance, that there are many lawyers who they are lawyers, but they have never seen the inside of a courtroom other than probably being admitted to the bar, and they never go in a courtroom after that because there are so many other areas, in law other than, criminal, or torts or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, there are many lawyers who don't ever practice either, or perhaps they initially practice and then go on to other things, because law is an amazing foundational course and foundational qualification that allows you to broaden your scope and move into other areas. So, I mean, Mr. Scott's explanation of the amount of opportunities that are available is certainly absolutely right. There's tremendous. There's dozens of careers that are available within financial services that we think we want our students to be exposed to and to understand where the opportunities lie. It's not just about being an accountant or being a lawyer or being a banker. It's much more significant than that. There are opportunities for people to move around within the industry as well. As I said, law is a foundational course. But certainly accounting is no different. There are many accountants that end up moving on into a variety of other areas and move up into senior management. So there are lots of opportunities, and we want to encourage this, and we want folks to talk about it and encourage their children or anyone that they may be aware of to be engaged and to seek out opportunities like this. Please don't miss the opportunity. Please, if you know of anyone, follow up with it.
And following up on Minister Patton's last point, Minister Rivers, in terms of the schools, the awareness of this program, how is it being highlighted in the schools?
Well, firstly, I want to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to the team in the ministry that really has worked very quickly, efficiently, and committed to getting this program off the ground, as I said, in very short order. And what they are doing is that we've reached out to the schools themselves that where the students are doing the dual enrollment program. Teachers have been contacted, and there will be actual workshops that are going to be held initially this week to introduce students to the idea, to the program. And there may be, depending on where we're at with respect to registration, there may be opportunities at that time for people to sign up then if they haven't had the opportunity before. So we really are the ministry, the Department of Education Services, and the schools themselves are working very closely with Cayman Finance to actually get it going at the school level, making sure that students are aware of the program and take advantage of it. I mean, again, it's we as a country, we as a government, we as a ministry, we can only do so much with respect to creating the environment. It's now up to the students themselves in this instance, first and foremost, to take advantage of that opportunity. Of course, as parents and as community leaders and as people just concerned about our young people and our children, we have an obligation too to also encourage them to take advantage of the opportunity. But that's why we're kind of on the road show now to make sure we get the message out in as many mediums as possible so people are aware of it. But it is something that is very exciting. It will lead to, at least for this summer, and I'm sure beyond, a tangible work experience opportunity, exactly, which many of our students, for whatever reason, don't have as readily available today as we had when we were growing up. And so it was certainly a need that we recognized as a country, as a government, and in this case, the financial services industry, that we needed to deal with this head on. And so we've developed this program. But I also want to make a plea to other industries. As I said, I am personally in conversation, and I'm sure Minister Patton and my other colleagues may be as well, but I'm in conversation with a number of industries as we speak to try to develop a similar type of program which addresses the needs of the community as it stands today. There are lots of needs on multiple levels, but we're trying to put together something that is sustainable, something that is addressing a cohort, i.e. our students who are about to make that transition into the world of work, where we know if we can make the impact there before they leave formal education, if the industries can work with the government, and you've heard me speak a lot about public-private partnerships in education. Well, this is a perfect example of that in action. Yes. And I want to encourage other industries to reach out if we haven't had a dialogue as yet, but either with myself or somebody in the ministry. This, as I said, started with a conversation. CEO from Cayman Finance said in passing, "What do you think about this?" And I said, absolutely. If you can get the support amongst members in Cayman Finance, we will make it happen on our end. And that's certainly how we want to approach this with other industries as well, because we as a government have an obligation, but also the private sector, the community organizations, you too have an obligation to ensure that you create those opportunities for our young people to access the understanding and employment opportunities which exist in this country. We know that because of the fact that we have so many people here from overseas on work permit. So we need to be able to ensure that our students, our people, can transition into those employment opportunities. We'll always need people from overseas. We will always need, because of the sheer volume of job available based on our local population, the comparison there. But we certainly need to make sure that our people can access the jobs that do exist.
Okay. And the old Caymanian saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't force him to drink. We just want to lead you to the water, and they can drink the fine wine there themselves if they want to. We're going to go to a break now, headline news, and then a short break. And we will be back after that because we want to talk about the level of parental involvement during the course of this program as well. Because, parents need to be involved in this also. Please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, where we're discussing with the Honorable Tara Rivers, who's the Minister responsible for Education, Employment and Gender Affairs, as well as Minister Wayne Panton, who has responsibility for Financial Services, Commerce and the Environment, and Mr. Jude Scott, the CEO of Cayman Finance. And it is no accident the three of them are all here at the same time, because what we're talking about, it's all interconnected. It touches on all of those entities as well. And what is it that we're talking about? If you've just joined us, we're talking about a new pilot program that is designed to steer students towards the financial services. A quick rehash, if you may, for me, Minister, in terms of when this program starts, the design of the program, who it is aimed at, the target audience that it is aimed at as well.
Okay, thank you. So again, the program is it's a collaborative program between the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Financial Services, Cayman Finance, and it really, as you said, is looking to get our students in a foot in the door, better understanding of the financial services industry. It is targeted, the pilot program is targeted to 50 year 12 students in the government school system. So if you're in year 12, but you're doing your year 12 year either at UCCI or completing your first year of A levels. So it's students that would be considered in the dual enrollment government high school system.
And do we have an idea of those numbers?
Well, currently we have about 100 students who are participating. The pilot is targeting the first 50 students that sign up who are, of that 100 students. It's Caymanian students that we're targeting as well. And also, so that's the who, and the how is it'll be developed or it'll be delivered through workshops. So group workshops with persons in the financial services industry who will be talking about different topics, different areas, and then there will be individual relationships through one-on-one coaching and mentoring. So each student participating in the program will have a mentor or a coach. And the third aspect of the program is the work experience, the 1 month paid internship in the summer for those students as well. So the program actually starts this week in terms of the workshops, or some of the information sessions will be available in the various schools this week. So there is still an opportunity to sign up, but it is on a first come, first serve basis for those students. So we certainly don't want people to just sit down and wait until slots are finished and then start asking, well, how can we get involved?
We're guilty of doing that. And this, remember, folks, it is geared towards directly towards Caymanian students. We have one caller online. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you, Mr. Overseer.
Good morning, Mr. Hurlston. How are you?
That's fine, thank you, sir. Good morning, Honorable Minister Sarah Rivers and Honorable Minister Mr. Wayne Parrington.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Jude Scott.
Good morning.
The young lady who answered, that lovely young lady, the phone a while ago, she asked me if I wanted to get onto the program. I said yes, which was incorrect of me. I just wanted to call in. I'm not wanting to be on the program. Since we have these three brilliant minds here, two legal and brilliant accountants and brilliant legal minds, I'd like to ask a question, maybe just two questions. The first is, of course, when we have to sort of go into damage control and say there's some question asked by some country about what's happening with some irregular, what they may see and perceive as some irregularity here with some bank or something, and thinking of placing a fine. Is the fine placed on the government, the people of Cayman, or is it placed on that entity that the people of Cayman don't have, the Caymanian populace doesn't have to pay this thing, since we have no form of direct income tax, either corporate or payroll tax or any other taxes, that those entities pay these things when it comes being conclusively that they have to pay. Is it paid by the government, or is it paid by the entity that's charged, whatever, in court or zero here, whatever?
And your other question? You say you had two, Mr.
The other question is this. As we all know, from time to time, I say regularly, I am absolutely convinced that we, since you're talking about teaching students and teaching them the financial world and everything that goes with it, is a powerful part of our economy, I believe without a doubt we will have to introduce and implement some form of direct income tax. My version of it would be exactly as Bermuda did, with just payroll tax only. Are we teaching these students about the collection of taxes and how to participate and be tax accountants and be on the government end of it, systems of setting up collection part of it, and how do you go about enforcing? Are we teaching them that also in preparation for that day which might soon come? Have an excellent day.
Before you go, Mr. Hurlston, before you go, what do you think about if you've been listening about the program that we've been talking about and the 50 slots to give Caymanian students an opportunity to get their foot in the door, to whet their appetite about financial services, because we constantly hear that we're not offering enough opportunities to our young Caymanians. Here is a program, a pilot program that, if successful, and I see no reason why it shouldn't be successful, that I'm sure that it will be adopted by other arms of government or other industries as well. What do you think about it?
I think it's excellent. I think I didn't manage to listen to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I must confess I'm guilty of switching to the 2 radio stations that I listen to back and forth.
We're going to have to demand. We're going to have to demand your full loyalty to.
I did hear some of it, and I think that's an excellent thing. As we have often been hear complaints, we're not trying to educate our young people in the financial world, which is a major part of the economy. And I'm glad we're doing that, and all aspects of it. There are so many aspects. People think it's just lawyering and accounting, and there's so many aspects of the whole thing. It's way beyond me. I'm not involved in that, but I do like to believe I can understand some of it. But you all have a great day. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, and we'll try to provide that answer for you as well. Thank you very much. Anyone wants to answer the question Mr. Hurlston had?
Well, as his first question, I mean, it's thankfully the answer is clear that obviously the direct cost of any kind of administrative fine for some perceived or established wrongdoing, I suppose if it's established, it's more than just administrative. It's sometimes becomes a court fine, but those are going to be borne by the entities themselves. Of course, that's the direct cost. The indirect cost perhaps maybe impacts upon the reputation of the particular jurisdiction, or indeed in some cases the specific regulator that is involved. And that's one of the reasons why we are very careful as a jurisdiction to try to make sure that our regulatory application is at the highest level, and certainly the most appropriate level. We haven't really had. We have one example of a bank that has been administratively fined in that sort of way, and obviously that was a very unfortunate situation. It was a bit of an adopted situation where, and not to go into the facts of it, but let's say it was an adopted situation. It became it's something that slipped in, not directly through the application of business conducted within the Cayman Islands. So these things can arise in different ways, and there are direct and there are indirect costs. We don't bear the direct cost, but we can bear the indirect cost of it.
Certainly. We have another caller online. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Ms. Daphne. Hope you had a happy Mother's Day yesterday.
I did. It was a full day. But it was good. And good morning to you all. And Mr. Rivers, Mr. Ponton, and Mr. Scott.
Good morning, Ms. Daphne.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. What oh my goodness, breath of fresh air to hear what you're talking about this morning.
Certainly is. It is. Even me, I'm excited, and I'm not in school anymore.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I would jump for this thing, and that you're in highlighting this opportunity for our students. I'm thinking about this. Oh my goodness! Can you imagine all these young people thinking, well, there's hope for me here when I get out of school. I'm going to have, this puts me a foot up the ladder.
It gives them an opportunity to make an impression.
Yes, and of course, finance being one of the two main pillars of our economy, I would say, is a good place to start. But I hope that many of our students, but of course, those who are interested in the financial services industry will grasp this as quickly as possible. And the other the other very encouraging information that you shared was that while this pilot project starts with the financial services industry, the other thing is that you are, as we speak, working with other industries to embark on a similar project. So I think this is one of the greatest things that has ever happened for our seniors who are about to graduate. And I just want to say that the Caymanian public, parents, other interested individuals need to stand with the government and stand with the Mr. Scott and Cayman Finance and just really encourage our young people and do everything we can and say, listen, we're working with you. We don't want you to stand here feeling hopeless that, well, I'll get my education and when I'm finished, there's nothing. But I think this is just wonderful. It's encouraging. Our young people, our bright young people need to grasp this and run with it. And I wish you and pray that you'll have great success in encouraging other industries to join with you in partnership so that this can continue in other areas as well. God bless this government. I think you're doing a good job, very good job. And Mr. Scott, I told you just some weeks ago, I think you're where God wants you to be. So may you be blessed in using all of your expertise and experience and certainly your interest in trying to assist Caymanians, as I wish the same for Miss Rivers and, of course, Mr. Panton as well. God bless you all and have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Daphne. We have one
Thank you
other
very
caller
much.
online, but I think we're going to go. We have one caller online. We're going to go to a short commercial break. So, caller, we're going to ask you to be extremely patient. This is going to be very short. And when we come back, we're going to take your call. So please hang in there for us. We'll be back shortly. Morning and welcome back to For the Record. And we're going to go straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you? Hope you had a happy Mother's Day.
Well, we could debate that. Georgetown is in mourning. Seems like one in every family is gone. I'm not too happy when those things occur.
Yeah. We got a few more again on the weekend, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, that's debatable. Anyway, first thing off in the morning, I would just like to say good morning to Mr. Jude Scott. Haven't seen you, haven't heard from you in ages, but you're on the circuit now.
Good morning. Yeah, they've been keeping me very busy. It's certainly a pleasure to hear your voice.
Thank you, sir. And good morning to the other two guests, to Minister Rivers and Minister Panton.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Morning, Shirley.
I got two questions, and then I want to say what I want to say. Will somebody please give me the dollar amount and the percentage of the total amount of this program that you are rolling out now that our government is responsible for? Do you have those figures?
Sure. So the government is putting in 30,000 US, 15,000 from the Ministry of Education, 15,000 from the Ministry of Financial Services. The Cayman Finance members are putting in 40,000 US, and in addition to that, over 300,000 in value of time through the mentorship program as well as the in-classroom facilitation workshops.
A quick question: what is I really don't care about the rest of them. The amount, the percentage of that amount that my government is responsible for. I know no mathematician. I don't know my tables. And help me.
I don't have the percentage in front of me. So government is putting in 30,000 of a program
less than 10%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
When you consider the 300,000 in terms of time.
Yeah, but the cash, and from a cash perspective,
okay, another quick
40%.
my other quick question is, as a financial services industry country, where are we currently listed in the world? Are we still round about position number 5, where we were in our heyday?
It depends on what metric you're looking at, but I mean, in terms of an international banking center, we're sort of within the top 10. It's still probably around 4, let's say 5, 6, 7, that sort of range. But there are other, obviously there are other metrics that I utilize. One is that's typically referred to as what's called the Global Financial Centers Index, and I think we've certainly come up the ranks in that. Now I don't remember the exact number, but we're sort of 30 something, 30, 35 or 34, 37, somewhere in that region.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in that we do have a lot of diversity within our financial services industry. So if we look in the banking arena, as the Minister mentioned, we are going to be around 5th or 6th, which is fairly consistent over the many years. When we look at investment funds or hedge funds, we're actually number 1 in the world. When we look at captive insurance, we're number 2 across captive insurance. Specifically on captive healthcare insurance companies, we're actually number 1 in the world. So we have some very, very strong elements to our financial services industry.
Yes, sir. And this takes me to what I would like to say. Because in the late 1960s, if I'm correct, Triple C School had a program. They used to call it can't remember the name of the program, but they used to call it something like internship or work experience program for the seniors. And, they didn't pay any monies to have that done in this country at that time, the government. I mean, the school, I don't think, paid any money. And from the late 1960s, now we're in 2015. And please understand me. I'm not saying that this program is not worthwhile. All I'm saying is Triple C School had that in place in the late 1960s. And this now here is 2015. The rest of the world should be beating a path to our doorstep to find out what our successes are and to get a little piece of our draft and our model for this. We seem to advance in this country by going backward. Now, I understand there have been myriads of government between the last century and this century. It's a last century situation I'm talking about. And we're so happy about it. I am happy about it, yes, but not for where we as a little country who had all of the opportunities should be. And I wonder if anyone loses sleep about how many of our generations that we have lost because a program like this was not put in place. And it didn't even have to be put in place because, like I said, Triple C had it just improved upon with government's intervention to get it where it needed to be. How many of our people have been lost on the wayside of life because nothing was there for them? And now we're on a road show in the 21st century talking about what?
Those needs are still they're still there. Those needs are still there. So we have to, we wouldn't have, Charlene, we wouldn't have solved it all in the 60s as well. That would have solved it for those. But I understand what you're saying in terms of continuity. But I'm going to ask you to leave us there because we have 2 more callers that we need to take, and we want to try to do that before 9:30. But certainly thank you very much for your insight and for the questions that you had. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Been listening to the program. Interesting. And good morning to Honorable Minister Rivers and Mr. Panton and to Mr. Jude Scott.
Good morning.
I have been looking at. Okay, it's great that you're going to try and pave the way for the astute students and those who are more academically inclined.
No, not that's not the case.
That's not the case.
No, when we talked about it earlier, we saying we're not looking for the creme de la creme, not for the cream of the crop. Everybody has a shot.
First come, first served.
Yes.
That's right.
So that would put those students who have not been able yet to get their exam results and able to apply for this mentorship.
Any student who is in the dual enrollment program of year 12, and what that means is any student in the government high school system who is currently in year 12, who is doing their year 12 year at either UCCI or doing their first year of A-level. So any student that would be in that category. So yes, you wouldn't have had to have your exam results back at this stage.
Thanks for bringing that piece up, because that's what the main reason for my call is. Government claims that they are giving free education. They provide the building, they provide the teachers, they provide the buses, they provide access to uniforms, they provide the books, and they establish cafeterias for the children to eat. But there's a lot of our students who can just, and their parents who can just barely attend school because they're not financially endowed as the rest of as some students. And I have had it from experience with some of my grandchildren. Some of them still have not gotten the results of their exams yet. And I have addressed this with the Minister of Education before, and I have seen no relief from any actions on the Honorable Minister's part. You cannot say you're giving free education when the children go to school for 11 to 12 years, come hell or high water, and then they sit their external exams, and they're told you have to pay for it. If you want to know what you did, you got to pay for it. I think that is totally, totally unfair, and it puts those students at a disadvantage, and they lose hope. Their parents lose hope, and they fall by the wayside. And I don't call it falling by the wayside. I call it that the government system is pushing them through the cracks. They're not falling through the cracks. Government is pushing them through the cracks. My grandson, who is very intelligent, or his mother.
Caller, I'm going to ask you if you can sort of abbreviate everything for us, because we have one more caller and we're at the closing time. So we want to try to accommodate you and that caller as well. If you can abbreviate it, please.
I'll make it brief by this example. We have not been able to get his exam results. So how is he going to complete his resume and stuff, to get a job? He's taken a lower echelon job, which I know he's qualified to do more, but we can't be for sure because we don't have his exam results. So he's taken a job on a delivery truck for a liquor establishment, and hopefully we'll get to pay for his exams from that.
Okay, thank you very much, caller, for that. Minister, I'll give you an opportunity to answer that after we just take this other caller, and then we can get everyone out. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Jose.
Good morning, Jimmy. We're running out of time, so we're going to ask you to be as brief as possible, please.
All right. Now, good morning to you, Mrs. Rivers.
Good morning.
Belated Mother's Day.
Thank you very much. I had a wonderful day. Thank you.
That's nice to hear. And Mr. Rain Panton. Morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
And Mr. Jude Scott.
Good morning.
Okay. First off, I want to congratulate the program here. This is a very good step forward. That's a new pair of shoes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, second, I want to congratulate Mr. Rain Panton for speaking my words for me about kids. I was going to ask in due time to find out how many animals it is in this world that has kids. And he said this morning that we had to stop calling our children kids because
young people now. Okay, fine. Remember, that is a part of our culture, and we did not invent that thing saying kids. That flew into this island. That is how easy it is to influence the people in this country, and the easiest way to get your culture changed toward their attitude. So not kids. You know, our mother and father was no goats. Okay? And that story.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Thank you for that. Minister Rivers, the first caller who spoke about the fees.
Yes, I just wanted to address that point, and the fact is she is right in the sense that the government education for Caymanian students is free, and that all throughout your primary years, your secondary years, there's no actual fees for Caymanian students who actually have to attend school. The only fee structure that is in place has to do with paying for examinations at the end of your examinations. Now, I have said very clearly from a policy mandate is that we can't disenfranchise the students from being able to continue on, and in actual fact, they shouldn't be. But what is the expectation is that there is the ability to go on any sort of a payment plan if necessary, as minimal as it may be, that the department is willing to work with families, willing to work with parents, willing to work with guardians with respect to those fees for the external examinations that they have to sit. Now, I think if you look at any other system, of course, if students were in private school, they would have to pay school fees, tuition, other fees, book fees, just coming to class on a Monday fees, examination fees. So there are a number of fees that are associated with education in the private sector. Public sector is different. We certainly work with parents. We certainly work with families who are finding it hard to make ends meet. And we certainly are not here to say that a student can't access their examinations. But what we expect is, at a minimum, parents, guardians would be willing to work with the education system to put in place some sort of a payment plan, whatever that plan is, whatever that family can afford. The government is willing to work with parents, because it's only at that point that we are asking those parents to participate financially in the education of their children. And I think, given all the investment that government makes, I personally don't think that that is an unreasonable expectation to have. And I would once again encourage her in her situation to reach out to the Department of Education Services. They are willing to work with families to put in place a reasonable payment plan if necessary, to ensure that no child is disenfranchised by this particular policy.
Certainly. Okay, we're 25 minutes to 10 now. Opportunity to wrap up, and before just give you enough time to catch your breath, Minister Rivers, and we can start with you with a wrap up, and what your final words that you want to say to our listening audience in relation to this program.
Well, firstly, let me say happy belated Mother's Day to my other fellow mothers out there who do all that you do to ensure that your children have the best quality life possible. And I really say that to tie into what it is that, myself as minister and as the government, and in particular in this case, Cayman Finance, we are trying to do all that we can do with respect to this particular program, giving our students the best possible chance of accessing the financial services industry as a possible career path, as a possible employment path, and who knows, even from an entrepreneurial perspective. I think that was one area that we didn't really talk about, but there may be opportunities from an entrepreneurial perspective as well, that students, by not having this opportunity, would never really be able to know about those potentialities. So from that perspective, I think it's a very important program to have introduced. And I say introduced because the fact is, yes, we as a country, there are many people that said we shoulda, coulda, woulda, but we are where we are today. And as a government, as a new Minister of Education, as a new Minister of Financial Services, we recognize that there are certain things that need to be put in place. Whether or not they should have been put in place or they could have been put in place, it's not really my place to say. The fact is, we are where we are, and we're trying to address the real issues that we have inherited and try to put programs that are implementable, that are tangible, and that will hopefully lead to real results. This is a pilot program in the sense that we've just kicked it off, but the intention is to certainly continue to support this program in years to come, to continue to develop and broaden the scope if necessary, if we're able to do so, to include other students as well. But we are gearing this towards Caymanian students who are in the public education system, giving them an advantage, so to speak, with respect to some other catchment areas, because we recognize the importance of investing in our students in the public school system because of some of the disadvantages that many of them may have as compared to other students in the private sector with respect to making those relationships and making those networks. We have some of the best students, some of the highest achieving students in our public school system, and we believe in our students in that regard. And so this program is an excellent way to get them to have a better understanding, to make those networks, to prove themselves, to say, continue to invest in me. And who knows, as a result of this program, they may get a scholarship with that company, they may get job opportunities lined up, but you don't know where the possibilities are unless you actually take the first step. And the first step is to register for the program, www.caymanfinances.com/education. Get on this train. We're rolling fast, and I think we're going to grow from strength to strength.
Yep, and once the train leaves the station, it's not going to make a stop until it gets to the end of the line. Mr. Scott.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Connor. It's, again, Cayman Finance and its members, we're just thrilled to have this opportunity. Individual organizations have continued to do many programs similar to this to support our young people and give them opportunities. This is a very specific program which is designed to supplement all of the other efforts. So we're very excited to partner with the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Financial Services. You know, we believe that the success in our country is based on us working together. It's not about talking about working together. It's actually working together to recognize the things we need to have a positive impact on, and for us to lock our arms, work together, all of us within the community and within the businesses, to develop things which are simple, implementable, can have an impact, and we continue learning from those things to produce better and better programs going forward. So really, on behalf of our Cayman Finance members, we just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I wish certainly all of the mothers out there that they've had a fantastic Mother's Day. And certainly as you care for the future of your children, we also want you to know that we care for them and we want to do our part as well.
Minister Pannon, final word.
Sure, thank you very much, OC. And let me start by joining my colleagues here and extending a belated Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I hope everyone had a wonderful time. I know that there are families that have been suffering bereavements. I know I understand Mr. Goring's family and the Godet family. Of course, we had the funerals on the weekend of the Marion family, significant member of our society, and then we had the one for Mrs. Donaldson. That was very, very sad as well. So obviously condolences to all of those, and I hope you can certainly find peace going forward in the memories of those wonderful individuals. I want to thank my colleagues here for participating in this program, and I want to encourage all of both the students and the parents and anyone out there who has any influence and contact with students who may be interested in this program to get involved. It's a wonderful program. Please don't let the opportunity pass. Just very quickly on I think the point that was being made by Ms. Charlene earlier, I just wanted to clarify, if I have her point correct, that the funds, the cash that's being utilized here is not being utilized to pay any of the participants who are involved in the training in this program. Right. This money the cash is actually going to cover the costs for the students having the 1 month period of employment. Largely, that's what it is. And so, while it's $300,000 in time, that they're not getting paid for that. That's just a contribution, which is really, at the end of the day, the contribution and the opportunity that it provides to our young people in this country is absolutely priceless. So, with that, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. It has been a pleasure. Thanks for those who called in, and have a wonderful day to all of our wonderful residents of the Cayman Islands.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank you, our guests this morning, for enlightening our listening audience on the availability of this program. And hopefully, I know we have caught people's ears out there, and if they know someone who doesn't know about the program, we ask you to certainly make them aware of it. Folks, I want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who is less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't, then you should donate to a worthy charity. We always want you to remember those who need, not necessarily those who want. I also want to remind you that For the Record is brought to you by LED Lighting Engineering and Design, located on Dorset Drive in Industrial Park. And just a quick footnote, Minister Pannon mentioned the funerals that took place over the weekend, and just to say that those of you who are interested, the funeral of Donna Ray Connor will be this afternoon, viewing from 2 o'clock until 3, and then the service will take place at Church of God. I think that's, is that the Full Gospel Hall on the waterfront? We used to call it Mr. Foss's Church, right. On the waterfront, right before the turn to Moringa Town. And that will be viewing from 2 o'clock until 3, and the service is at 3. I also want to encourage you to continue to listen to Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne, Ebanks for Talk Today later on today, and a big welcome back to Miss Susan Watson. Take care, have a lovely day, and God bless.
For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record.